Welcome to the visionarywoman.com online media.
I decided to write about it. I had already published a few humor books, but I had never really addressed it in a way that I felt really took it seriously. Of course, I'd never joked about it and even referred to it in my books. But I felt that it was time to get over the shame of it and fear that people might judge me for it and just address it. And it's been amazing. I call us survivors. I never refer to us as victims.
Yeah.
We're survivors of sexual abuse or any kind of sexual trauma to carry that shame because it is such an intimate crime, things that were done to us, really no matter the age. And if you look at the way that society treats survivors of any kind of sexual trauma, whether it's childhood, human trafficking, rape, there's definitely this type of expectation. Why didn't you fight back? What did you do that brought that attention onto you? And we as survivors hear that all the time. And a lot of times we're not believed, especially as children. Fortunately, I was believed. I ended up testifying against the neighbor in 2 trials, both civil and military. And even to this day, people will question my story and ask for proof sources. And one person even went so far as wanting to see the documents, which are public. They'd have to go back, of course, because it happened. I'm 52 now, so this happened when I was 11. So they really have to go back and search. But there are plenty of witnesses that are still in my life who were in the courtroom when it happened. But to this day, there are people who still even question. And why are they questioning this? That's so irrelevant to the fact that it did happen and I had to live through it. And the whole point of my story is not in any way explicit. I don't go into details of exactly what happened because I think that's unnecessary to provide that kind of detail. The point is what happened after and how I dealt with it. And I think that's the shame part of it, is how we don't even realize, I know I didn't, how it affected me in so many different ways, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And so the shame builds and builds and builds on us, and we don't even realize it. I think, a change in our paradigm. And my goal in sharing my story was to educate not only survivors to get help, but also to have compassion, to show people that we're not victims. Some people are further along in their journey of getting help. Some people have never spoken about what happened to them because of that shame and fear. And so my goal was just to provide a platform for people. I honestly had no idea when I wrote the first book, Broken Pieces, which came out in 2013. I guess it was the end of 2012. I self-published it and it just shot up to the top of the Amazon charts. And I really had no idea the reaction, and people just came out of the woodwork, male, female, young, old, and contacted me, left me messages on social media or an email saying, your book just meant so much to me because I'd never told anybody ever that I had been abused. And the amount of men who told me this, really, and had carried that weight within themselves for so long. And I thought, I need to do something with this. These stories are so incredibly heartbreaking. And I'm not a psychologist, I don't pretend to be one. I felt like I needed to create something, a place where people would feel comfortable and find other survivors, which is part of removing the shame of sexual abuse, is talking about it in a public format. And so that's what I did. She and I co-host Sex Abuse Chat every Tuesday on Twitter, public. Some people if anyone wants to join, it's at 6 o'clock on Tuesday nights. 6 o'clock Pacific time, so that's 9 o'clock Eastern time. And you just type in the hashtag Sex Abuse Chat. anybody's welcome to join, whether you're a survivor yourself or someone in your family and you just don't know how to talk about what's going on. We're not therapy, we're group support. But we've created this huge community. We're going on 3 years now. And it was really important to me that people have a safe place to talk publicly if they choose to. We have a lot of lurkers, is what we call them, people who just want to see what we're talking about because they're terrified of someone knowing that they were abused. That we talk about in the group chat is it's a horrible thing to have happened or have lived through, but we did survive it. And now we've met all these amazing people and connected that we would never have met and connected with previously. Yeah. So there's such strength and power in that community that lifts us and helps each other. And we learn so much from each other. So we wouldn't have that otherwise, you know? So I'm not a huge fan of saying everything happens for a reason, because I think there are some horrible things that have happened to some of these people and in general in life. But the results are, here's where we are now, and we can benefit from that.
TheVisionaryWoman.com. Watch our host of insightful video exchange interviews. Listen to the Visionary Woman Hotspot Talk Radio to empower your evenings and read fascinating articles of inspiration and perseverance, all with you in mind. Visit us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.